everyone, and welcome back. Carol again. That's not my name, by the way. Again. Just means it's me again. Alright, so in the previous two videos we made our cover and we decorated the front of it. I now want to talk to you about the pages. So in my instructions on the first video that I put out on Friday evening, I talked about printing pages 1 to 13 on paper. Now I printed mine on nice paper, not just ordinary photocopier paper. And they've all obviously got this white border, so that will need cutting off. So there's 13 pages that we've printed off for our signatures, and this one is the one that's the little bit of an obscure one because it's got these Easter eggs out down the bottom. So I'm not going to use that one just now, but I am going to make something with it later on. So now we've got 12 pages. So I'm going to go off and cut off all these white edges, and then I'll be back with you shortly. I'm just trimming up the last sheet. Now, one of the things that you might want to consider is printing on the back side of these, because some of them, if you're going to follow along in the way in which I've done it, some of them will have a white background, you know, white backside I should say, or cream if you've decided to print it on cream. But I'm not going to do that, and I'll show you why when we come to putting the pages together. But you could use one of the plainer pattern sheets to put the paper through, put this through again, and then it would print on the back side. So then it's patterned on both sides. All right. But as I say, I'm not doing that. So you might want to watch this next segment so that you can make a decision as to whether you want to do printed back sides or not. Now what I've done as I've gone through them is I've sorted them out into 4 piles with 3 pages in each pile, right? So that it will make a total of 4 signatures, because we've got 12 pages. So I've got 3 here. 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 on the next pile, 3 on the next pile, and 3 on the next pile. All right, so that will make up my 4 signatures. Now what I'm actually going to do is, if I just get them out to show you. So with these 3 pages here, I'm going to keep this one as it is, and I'm just going to fold it in half. Right, so that's one. These 2 I'm going to join together, and I can either join them down the sides and across the bottom and leave the top open, or I can just attach them at the top and at the bottom, and then I've got 2 side pockets. But on top of that, the other thing that I'm going to do is I've got some greaseproof paper, kitchen stock, right, and I'm just going to cut a sheet that's slightly bigger. Where's my squizzers gone? There. Slightly bigger than the sheet of paper. Right, so that's bigger, and I'm going to scrunch it up. What great sound. Right, so that's all nice and tightly scrumpled up, and now I'm going to unscrumple it. And I'm just going to lightly press it to get it slightly flatter, but I don't want it completely flat. And then what I'm going to do is place glue around all 4 sides of this page. and then sit this on top. And because it's a grease-proof paper, it will take a little bit for it to stick. And then I can trim off the excess. Now you will have noticed that I didn't put glue across the middle bit. I only put it around the four sides. And that's because it will make a nice crinkly page. I want paper first, Carol. Bigger than. Scrunch it up. Squidge it, unscrunch. Put glue around the four sides. And again, I'm not putting the glue in the middle. I'm only putting it around the outer edge. As I say, it does take a little while for that glue to just adhere to the grease-proof paper. You might call it something different in your country, but in ours, here in the UK, we call it grease-proof paper. And it comes in white or this brown colour. Make sure it's all pushed on. And trim off the excess again. So if I just run my fingers over this, all you've got is the sound of just the paper itself. If I run my fingers over this one, you've got a lovely crinkly sound. And then I can join these two then together. Now, what I could do is I could just glue them, but because I've glued the grease-proof paper and it doesn't stick particularly well, it sticks well enough, but you know, I want to stitch around the three sides, or two sides, or four sides. So, let's pretend I'm doing a top-loading pocket with this one. What I would do is I would join the two pieces together and then stitch around 1, 2, 3 sides, okay? And then we've got this opening at the top. You might want to, if you want the effect of the stitching around all four sides, is you'll need to stitch the top edge of this one first and the top edge of that one first, then join the two together and do 1, 2, 3, all right, so that it keeps all of it looking as though it's been stitched, because if you stitch across the top at the same time, you're not going to have a top opening. if you then decide to do side pockets, you're going to have to do the same again. Stitch down this side first and down this side second, and then stitch down that side and that side, so that when you join the two together, you will stitch just across the top and just across the bottom, and you will have the opening here on the side, but you'll have the stitching around all four sides. And because you've got two lots of the greaseproof paper and they're rubbing against each other, it makes an even better sound. So for each of the four signatures that I've just made, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a plain folded page, and I'm going to have a pocket page. Two of them will be top loading and two of them will be side loading. Now it's going to take me a little bit of time to go off and get those done for me to do all 12 pages. So I'm going to put you on pause. You can go and put the kettle on, make yourself a brew, and I'll come back a little bit later on and finish off the video to show you what I'm finishing off with. All right, so I'll see you back here in a minute or two or three. It's taken me about half an hour to do these. Right, so I've got one padded one, one non-padded one, because I ran out of my greaseproof paper. So I've got one padded, one not, one padded, one not. So with this one, that's going to be the plain page, and this one is going to be the top loading pocket. That's the plain page, and that is a side loading pocket. So I just glued it at the top and the bottom, no stitching, because don't feel that you've got to do the stitching. It's just that with the padded part especially, it just helps to hold it in place, but you don't have to do the sewing. And then the plain one and the padded one. So that's the side opening pocket, the plain one, and this one I did as a top loading pocket, and I just glued it around the three sides to join the two pieces together. Next step is I'm going to add my elastic. Now again, you don't have to use the elastic, you can just use a really strong thread. But I like with the elastic the fact that it stretches somewhat. So I'm going to wrap it round here. Yeah, do it that way. Underneath, back into the middle. Chop off some excess. Now you might not be able to see this particularly well because it's clear. And I'm going to pull it in just a little bit so that it's not doing a bit of slack, Alice. So it's got a little bit of tension on the elastic. So I've done a knot, and then I've formed a loop to do another knot, but I'm going through it twice. And it just, if it'll go through, come on, it'll just help to create, if it works, come on, there we go, a slightly stronger knot. And that, can you see it better on that side? So that's my elastic in place, and that's why I like this clear elastic. Can't see it, so you wouldn't really know. It says one, and I'm going to do this 4 times. And this is the reason why I said about putting the thingy tape, the what's it called tape, the duct tape underneath these wallpapers, because it now means that now we've put that little bit of pressure on the elastic to tighten it up, it's not going to cut into the paper. I'm not going to say ever and at all, but it just helps to protect it somewhat. and then I can evenly space those out and add each signature. So you can go in whichever order you want. I want the plain one in first, and then the pocket one. Next piece on the next string. Those two go together quite nicely, don't they? And then make sure you put it in the right way up, Carol. And there we have our first 4 signatures in place. Now then, they're not completed, they're not full signatures. You could leave it at this if you want, but we're not gonna. So I'll just flick through it as it is for now. So that will be the front page, and then we've got top loading pocket. Top loading pocket. Side pocket. Might swap those two round. This one was the I forgot which pocket it was. Oh, side. There we go. It will become more obvious later on. Side. That was a top loading. Yeah, top loading pocket. Okay, and that's how it's looking so far. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go off now, and I'm going to go and have a look through all my other papers and decide what other papers I want to put in here. I also need to remember that I also have some of the leftover wallpaper, so that I could use that in there as well. Okay, that's it for today. I'll let you catch up if you're following along, and then I'll come back tomorrow and I'll show you the next part of making a journal over a weekend. Thanks ever so much for joining me again today, and I'll see you all again later. Bye for now. Bye.